Dum da dum dum.
Hey guys, Sean here. So I wanted to see if hammer weight mattered in a striker fired launcher. Now, when I say striker fired, I'm referring to a blowback style launcher that uses a striker or a hammer that strikes a valve pin. I've always theorized that weight mattered because it's reciprocating motion, and there's some smart guy way back when, I think it's Newton's law or something like that. Sir Isaac Newton, whatever his name is. Objects in motion stay in motion, yada yada yada, something like that. But yeah, this isn't a channel for smart people, but something along those lines. So I always theorized the heavier that hammer, the sort of, and I'm talking split seconds here, the longer that hammer would try to stay on the valve pin, keeping it open. Many of us already shim with a multitude of items, flat washers. I specifically use ball bearings until I stumbled across tungsten steel, tungsten carbide. It's 2.5 times heavier than steel per volumetric size. So I wanted to test if I changed the hammer weight, if I would see increased velocity. Now, I know what you're saying. If you're shimming your bolt, or shimming your hammer, sorry, you're adding preload to the spring, and that is true. But I have a way that I'm gonna try to demonstrate that there is preload, but that weight also matters. Now, I could be just proving myself wrong. Let's find out. Except, first, this is my 468. I have a known good working velocity spring in here. My velocity adjuster is minimized, so it's backed all the way out. So this is the lowest velocity on this particular drive spring. I am running a spider valve pin, valve seal. The valve body is a factory 468. It's not drilled, it's not ported, it's nothing. And I'm also using a fatter O-ring in the body seal here. MCS, red kinetics 3.2 grams. I've been testing with these throughout my 468 endeavor. 1100 PSI. Unshimmed. Oh, 14-inch lion claw barrel. 418. 418. 422. Rather consistent. Good enough. And that's it. I'm out. Now we'll go to the table. Here's how we're going to do it. You saw what it put out with in my unmodified, we'll call it unshimmed state, not unmodified, unshimmed state. 422 is the best. You could probably say the average was 420. 10 millimeter steel ball bearing. This is what I've normally been using to shim the dry spring, velocity spring. It weighs 4.1 grams. As I said, this is 10 millimeters. We'll verify that. I know you guys believe me, right? You believe me. Ooh, that's really, batteries are dying this. Yeah, 9.93, 10. But it's 10 in every direction. It's a ball, right? So, I got these tungsten carbide slugs or weights off of Amazon. Believe it or not, these are sold as weights that you put in your, like, remember when you race those Cub Scout cars? You build those wooden cars and you race them down the ramps. These are weights that are designed to actually work with those. Officially, So I'm gonna dump a bunch out here. I'm gonna choose one that's about the size of this 10mm ball. Conveniently, these slugs are 3/8 diameter, so they're almost the same diameter. And here's the one I've chosen. You can see it's smaller. So the preload on this ball bearing should be higher, technically. But this one's lighter, 4.1 grams. Now let's see how heavy this guy is. Actually, let's get some measurements on this first. So in height, it is we'll just call it 6 millimeters. In diameter, there you go, it's 9.3. So it's smaller in diameter, shorter in height. Let's check the weight on that. Remember, 4.1 grams. 7.21 grams. This is almost double the weight. Now, I did mention it's about 2.5. Tungsten, real tungsten is 2.5 times heavier. So this is probably not pure tungsten, but in any case, for its size, it's damn near double the weight of this ball, and it's smaller. So what I'll do first, I'll load this ball bearing in. My regular old shim on the same settings that I have right now. We'll fire it. Then I'll switch to this particular tungsten slug. I'll try and show you guys me doing this here, but oops, it might be a little awkward because doing this sitting down and everything's kind of still in place. Oh, there we go. Pull my pin here. Oh, is this decocked? Nope. There we go. Easier to decock the marker and try and do this when it's all loaded up. 10 millimeter steel ball bearing. Drop it right down there. Put my spring in. You can probably verify there my velocity adjuster is all the way in. So this is minimum velocity. Put that in, don't forget your cross pin. 10 millimeter steel ball bearing. .434. So my best was 422 unshimmed. So of course the shim is working. 436. 430. And we'll swap this ball out. Steel ball bearing. Tungsten slug. Half the height, about the same diameter, but half the height, so the preload should be lower, but almost double the weight. If I can get it in there squarely. Looks good. Now, it's important when you're shimming that you check that it cocks every time. So if you over shim your launcher, the hammer will not pull back far enough essentially to engage the sear. And that's no good. It'll just auto fire. So I always check it once I do this. This is the first time putting these weights in here, by the way. I always try a couple times. Seems to be okay. Cross pins in. This was 7.2 grams, I think. Can't remember. 3.2 gram kinetics. Our best with the ball bearing was 436. Oh, did I air it up? I did. For some reason, I was double loaded there. Let's try that again. 434. The first shot was, when I said double loaded, that was a double shot. There was already a ball in the barrel. 432. Eh? Oh, I guess I'm out. Thought I loaded more than that. Okay, well, hey, guess what? That's pretty good. Half the preload, but double the weight, and a damn near shot exactly the same as a steel ball bearing. Now you ask, I'm going to add another one of these. So this pack came with a bunch of different sizes, thicknesses. This one plus the one that's installed in here will give me the identical 10 millimeters of this steel ball bearing. Then we'll see what improvements are made. And she goes. So we now have the equivalent of 10 millimeters of shim in there, which is the same as the steel ball bearing. Did it go down right? Ah, my bumper keeps spinning on me. Okay, there we go. Sorry for the delay. I don't know why it keeps doing that. It's fine once your spring goes through the center. Aha. I just need to use my eyes. Okay, there we go. What did I say? Check it. Have you noticed how easy I'm pulling back on this charge handle? This spring, even though it's not the newest spring, is working out well. Let me just reload some projectiles. All right. 10 millimeters worth of tungsten. I don't have the weight yet because I didn't actually weigh that other one, but we will. We will. Four. Lucky fours. $446. Well, guys, I think I proved my point here, and I'm happy that I'm not wrong. Weight does matter. Now, the height of your shim adds preload. Preload adds spring tension, so to speak. It's like putting in a stronger spring or adjusting your velocity adjuster. But the weight is playing a part. Identical height shim, but probably, I'm guessing, 3 times as heavy as this steel ball bearing I was using. So same height as this ball bearing, but 3 times the weight. Higher velocity. The question is, how many can I add to this before I can't recock? Now, there are some things to take into consideration. As I said, you can add too many shims and then you won't be able to cock your marker back. Too much weight probably isn't good either. That's a lot of reciprocating mass in here. Now, I don't know if I could reach too much weight adding these tungsten weights in. But for instance, if I had a entirely tungsten hammer, or lead hammer for that matter, that might be too much weight. you got to remember the marker has to recock for it to function properly. And as much weight moving forward and striking that valve pin, it needs to come all the way back. We'll see if I ever get to that, but before I go, let me just weigh these shims that are in here now to give you a comparison to that 10 millimeter steel ball bearing.
It's only been a minute. 10 millimeter steel ball bearing, 4.1 grams. The 2 pieces of tungsten carbide weights that I used, you can see here, they make up 10 millimeters. And they weigh 10.78, so a little over double, not quite the 3 times as much I mentioned already, but heavier nonetheless. Like, okay, this means something to me. I will be adding more of these to my launcher. Now, the amount that you add might be, or is totally gonna depend on the spring you're using. So once I get the spring nailed down, I will touch base with you guys again and the combination of these and this. But in the meantime, you wanna buy these things and just try them for yourself. I'll put the link, the Amazon link down in the description. For me, it was a Canadian link. It'll probably steer you in the right direction. But as I said, these are tungsten weights for Cub Scout cars. You might find some alternatives. Heck, there's tungsten fishing weights even. So do as you do, not as I do. And I'll see you next time.